Where's a bit more polite?
Okay, so exponent laws, they can be done in any order. Sometimes you might start on a question and then be stuck, or things also look really hard. Stop. Go back and try a different exponent law. For this one, I want you to find an answer on the top and an answer on the bottom. So here we have a power to a power, and the bottom is also power to power. Okay, so tell me, what are you going to get up top, and what are you going to get down below? Let's go, do it. Yes, really. Okay, so keep going. What's the answer for the top? And why? Pardon? Yeah, why? Yeah, you multiply -2 times 3, -6. You did that rule last year. Down below, same thing. You multiply for a power to a power, you get -6. Now, what's the exponent over here? No, it's -6 minus -6. Yeah, that's right. -6 plus 6, and so that equals x exponent 0. Final answer. Qu'est-ce que c'est? So what is it?
No.
What is it?
Yeah.
Yes, Marisa.
Isn't it like exponent 1 because of 1 on top, and then exponent 0 equals 0? That's what they taught us last year.
No.
Exponent 0 always equals
X is-
1.
Pardon me? Who's your teacher last year? No, he didn't teach you this. I can pull up his notes if you like. It would equal 1. Okay. Anything to the exponent 0 is 1. So if you have this word in there, anything, it's in brackets, and the exponent is 0, that equals 1. So anything to the exponent 0 equals 1. Okay. Continuing on. I digress. Erase. Here, 6 and 14. Let's put that into lowest terms. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. So you're just reducing the fraction to lowest terms. Now for the letters. Let's divide x4 by x. On our exponent then we get 4 minus 1. And on the y, when we do our division, what do we get? -3 minus 2. So up top we have x3, y, -5. But we're not allowed to have negative exponents in our final answers. So what do we get? X cubed's okay, but y -5? Needs to go in the basement. Okay? So we get 3x cubed, 7y5. Notice how, when I did this, the letters came up top. When I did my division, the letters were on the top of the fraction. Okay, so sometimes that weirds you out, but that's where it's supposed to go. Then, if you have a negative number, only then would you correct it by putting that base in the basement. Okay. Next one. Let's start by simplifying our fraction. Let's simplify the inside. So let's do this division. What's 50 divided by 2? What's x squared divided by x4? -2. And what about for the y's? When you divide them, y exponent, -4. It's all to the 1/2. Okay. So let's take the 1/2 and multiply it in. It's a power to a power, gets multiplied in. So we get 25 to the exponent, 1 times 1/2. X to the exponent, -2 times 1/2. Y to the exponent, -4 times 1/2. And when you get really good, you won't have to show all this work. Okay, but you should now. So that equals 25 to the 1/2. X to the exponent what? This is from 2 classes ago. Close, but there's a negative sign. -1. Okay, so what happens is the 2's cancel out, And there's a negative 1 remaining. Okay, so negative 1 times 1. On the y's, this negative 4 cancels. You're left with a negative 2. So what's negative 2 times 1? Negative 2. Okay. So what should we do with these negative exponents? Basement. What about that 25? What should we change that to? Gotta give it a facelift. What? Yeah. The exponent must be a 2 to cancel the fraction. And so 25 becomes 5 squared. Okay. So xy2 does not change. And then it's a power to a power, so you multiply them together. I told you we did this rule the other day. So you multiply your exponents and you get 5 because the 2's cancel. Okay, let's do the next one. Sorry, any questions with that one? That's starting to get hard now, right? Like that's a good mid-range grade 10 question. Well, yeah, mid-range. This next one is probably upper range a bit. Okay, so let's do our division. 12 divided by 3 equals 4. What about negative 5 divided by x negative 1/2? What should we do? Subtract. And then for the y's, 5 over 2 minus negative 1 over 2. So all we're doing is using our exponent rule. Then, I'm going to simplify my signs. 4, negative 5 plus 1/2. And on the y, be 5.5 plus 1/2. So let's get a common denominator. You must have a common denominator when you add or subtract fractions. So it's negative 5 over 1 plus 1/2. Y exponent. What's 5.5 plus 1/2? 6 over 2. Remember you add the tops of your fractions. So on the x we need a common denominator. What will it be? It should be a 2. Yep, negative 10 over 2. And on the y, what can we change the y to? 6 divided by 2? 3. Okay, we're almost there, folks. This is a pretty challenging one. Okay. So, what does that equal? 4 won't change. What's the exponent on the x? Nope. Negative 10 over 2 plus 1/2 equals negative 10 plus 1 over 2. Okay. You have to know this, folks. This is grade 8 rule. Right? You're adding the tops of the fractions. So it's negative 9 over 2. Okay. Last little bit then. How do you get that exponent to be positive? Goes into the bottom of the fraction. Okay. There you go. Final answer. That was definitely upper range grade 10. The skills you all know, but be able to figure it out is a little trickier. Probably 2 of those on your tests, right? Okay, these next ones, these next 3 look pretty challenging, but they're not. First of all, power to a power. How do you fix that? Multiplication. Do that now, please. Don't change the base. Just multiply it in. Oh, that's horrible coffee. 6, -20. Good. So let's go and do this division. Okay, so what's the base? -4 over 5. Don't change your exponents yet because, okay, it's not good to get into flipping if you don't need to. And so what does that equal? $14? Good. So question for you. Your exponent is even. What kind of final answer are you going to get with that negative sign? Even exponent, positive answer. The negative signs are going to pair up, and they'll cancel out to a positive. So it's going to be 4 to the 14 over 5 to the exponent 14. Now we're just going to leave it there because that's a super huge number. The next step is you just go to your calculator. Okay, but because that number is so large, we're just not going to. Okay, next one. Looks really hard, doesn't it? It's all multiplying and dividing, so it's not. On the 9, we have 5 exponent 4, and we're multiplying, that's the multiplication dot, times another 9 base. So what should we do with the exponents? Add. Now just be careful, this is a -1/4. I'm not sure how it turned out on your paper. So it should be plus -1/4. Okay. Then we're dividing, so what should we do? Caleb? Dividing same base? 1/3 chance to get it right. Add, subtract, or multiply. Pick one. Pick one. Perfect. So you subtract 3/4. Okay. Now, since all of them are the same, you know what you can actually do? Is write it as one big fraction. Yes, I am doing that for a reason. Okay. Anytime you add or subtract, you can write that as a big fraction. Okay. So what's 5 minus 1 minus 3? 1. So we have 9 to the 1/4. That's your final answer. You can't simplify it anymore because you can't give 9 a facelift. Okay? I mean, I guess technically you could write it as the 4th root of 9 if you wanted to, but we have been doing that all along, so I won't bother. Okay? This here would be your best answer. So, now why did I write this with this big fraction over 1/4? Because what you have to understand is this concept, because now what you're going to do is take this concept and go backwards. So here we have a big fraction adding up the numerators. So what we can do is change this so that it's 2 individual fractions. So what would be the denominator into each part of that fraction? 3 to the power of 8. And in order to get this question right, you have to understand that. Okay. So this is going to break down to what? Any ideas? I mean, 3 over 8 divided by 3 over 8, that's a 1. Or if you want, you could say it's 3 exponent 0, which is a 1. What about this one? Any ideas what that would be? Anyone thought this? 1 over 3 squared? Because 8 take away 6 is 2. You could have wrote it as 3 to the -2, but then you'd have to fix it. So I took a shortcut there. Okay. And so this equals 1 over 9 plus 1, which is 1 and 1/9. Final answer. No, I'm looking at Slater when I was there, but now I know. Sorry, research, not you. Okay. Any questions? So we won't do these next ones. Those are honors. Let's go down to this, though. Hint. Simplify first. Do not use a calculator until the very end. Okay. So let's simplify this. This works out to 2 over what minus y squared, all squared, 2 over x. Okay. So just make your exponent positive. So x equals 2, so let's substitute it in. 2 over 2 minus, and you want to use brackets, especially if there's a negative number. So use brackets, because otherwise you won't have 2 negative signs, you'll only have 1. And that means you're going to make a mistake. Now I forgot my outside bracket as well. Okay, so double check, make sure you wrote it down correctly. Wait, go ahead and evaluate this now. See what you can do. So you have to know your calculator, because if you enter -1 squared, some calculators will say -1, and some calculators automatically put brackets around it and make it +1. So you have to know whether your calculator does the brackets. So try that right now, -1 squared, and see which answer you get. And this is why I never ever put negative bases in. You look at your exponents, odd or even. Okay. Well, without brackets, the correct answer is the top one, but some calculators automatically put brackets in. Yeah.
So you have to be careful.
So never use a negative base. Always understand, right? This is an even exponent, so you're going to get a positive final answer.
Then you can go to another square.
I got the top one.
Good. That's what you want. Okay. All right. Continuing on. So here you want to simplify first. So on the x we have -3. And what should we do? We're dividing -2. And on the y, minus -6. Okay, so some of you freaking out because of this. This is quite complicated because there's several skills involved. They're simple skills, but the more things you put together, the harder it is. On your unit test, how many questions are you going to see like this? Maybe 5, 6, not a ton. On your final exam, how many do you think you're going to see?
2 or 3.
2 or 3. So will you see some? Yeah, but is it the end of the world if you don't get them right? No, you can still totally pass, but you got to work at it. As soon as you start practicing these, they get easier and easier, and then you're going to realize by the end of the course, these aren't that bad. They're not that hard. But if you don't practice it, they'll always be hard. I guarantee you that. Okay? So you got to put a little bit of effort into it, a little bit of time, and ask questions, whether for me or someone else in the class. Don't look too enthused, Emma. Okay. Any questions? You guys ready for the quiz?